it the first time in her career, and she's been so good at the top that they put her back here for game 3.
Kelly Torres is a catcher for this team, and they are going to get their second look of the weekend against Reagan Spencer, who started on Friday.
She did, and that outing actually doubled her season ERA, so definitely difficult outing for her in game 1. She's transitioned to more of a starting role this year, rolls a ton of ground balls with her drop in and out, focused in the offseason to control her changeup, and now uses that in tighter counts.
And the Clemson pitchers, we've noticed this all weekend, and particularly with Spencer on Friday, we're continuing to see it. They work relatively quickly. There is an action clock that is underneath the scoreboard in right field, and they don't need that.
No, definitely not. Clemson pitchers work quickly, as opposed to Duke pitchers who try to control the game a little bit more with the gamesmanship in the circle.
Saw that particularly with Jayla Wright, who picked up the win yesterday for Duke. Had a couple of violations that resulted in a ball for the Clemson batters.
Yeah, so much so that the crowd actually was getting involved in counting down the action clock to try to get that call from the home plate umpire.
2-2 pitch. Kelly Torres leading things off. Right up the middle, and it's picked nicely. Maddie Moore has played really well at shortstop.
When you talk about a shortstop in the Division I level, you expect that they've played there their entire career, but that is not the case for Maddie Moore. She has played all over the infield, third base, second base, and this year at short, making it look easy up the middle.
Moore retires Torres, and now here's Claire Davidson, who used to both hit and pitch for this team until this year, which is her senior season. And Davidson jumps on the first pitch. It goes into short right field, where it was almost caught by Alex Brown. But instead, Davidson winds up on second. That would have been a spectacular catch.
An unfortunate way that ball kicked out of the glove of Alex Brown. I mean, it was a great dive back. That's going to be a top center play if she's able to ring that one in, but it kicks off and gets so far away that it's an easy cruise into second base. I thought she actually had a chance to get to third.
Sports Center top 10 or top center sport,
you know, whatever it's
6
called. That thing,
you know, a play of the day. But that's a break for Duke. A little excuse me swing by Vega will get Davidson over to third.
You like to move runners, but typically Vega is one of those hitters that you expect to see jacking the ball out of here to get that RBI. She does move Davidson within 90 feet, but that excuse me swing, definitely not how Vega goes down typically.
Literally an excuse me swing. She definitely did not mean to do that. And Vega has had a tremendous series, so now it's up to Anna Gold, who scored the winning run yesterday in game 2. On a 2 for 7 so far on the weekend.
And Reagan Spencer really taking control of the pace of play here today. She is back on that pitching plate so quickly and forcing these batters to attack quickly.
Now, if you're a batter and think she's moving too quickly, what can you do to counter that?
Well, you know that the action clock is counting down, so you can stay out of the box. You have 10 seconds to get into the box to not create a violation. But go ahead and create your rhythm rather than letting the pitcher create it for you.
Gold down 1-2. Just misses the plate. Abby Vieira doing the catching, the veteran behind the plate for this Clemson team. Junior from Mission Viejo, California. Started game 1 and had the day off yesterday. That's a foul ball. It is senior weekend here. This is the last ACC home series for Clemson, but they will play one more home game, and that will be coming up on Tuesday when Winthrop comes to town, and then the rest of the regular season, their last 2 ACC series will be on the road. And then before you know it, the ACC tournament will be on Duke's home field. ACC Network and ESPN will be all over that once again for you. And now a full count with 2 outs. Davidson over at third.
When you mentioned it is senior weekend, I thought it was a pretty classy move by head coach John Rittman for Clemson to put JoJo Hyatt back there behind the dish yesterday. That was the day that they were recognizing all seniors after that game. So she was able to catch that entire game on senior day.
Popped up, playable. Spencer ends the inning after giving up the 1-out double.
Does not use that changeup much. She will slow down that motion to telegraph it.
Maddie Moore leading things off for the Clemson Tigers. Three for 7 so far in this series. And I mentioned Cassidy Curd no-hit them the last time they played. That was in the semifinals of the ACC tournament or championship last year. Struck out 8, did not walk anybody, hit 2 batters. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a perfect game.
She was dealing in the circle, and Clemson couldn't figure her out.
And one of the batters that she struck out was Valerie Cagle, who we need to say has not been available all weekend. In fact, in concussion protocol, so she will not be available again today. She's missed the last. This will be her 4th straight game. Cagle, the National Player of the Year last year for Clemson, and that's a double ouch. There she is in the purple shirt, because that's a premier pitcher and hitter.
It's definitely a double ouch, Pam, to not have her bat in the lineup, not be able to throw her in the circle, but seeing her in the dugout to still be a leader, such an important piece of how she plays this game.
3-1. Cassidy Curd is probably the most animated of the Duke pitchers. Has a lot of fun there in the circle, sort of the Millie Thompson of Durham. Full count now. Wow.
Tons of velo, and we've seen that she hasn't thrown a ton of innings as of late, so she's coming in pretty fresh, and you can see the way that the ball is absolutely jumping out of her hand. That pitch almost touching 70 miles an hour, just a little above 69 miles an hour, coming in at the top of the zone.
Curd gets the first strikeout as Alex Brown, the second baseman, comes up. Cassidy Curd with 109 strikeouts now on the season and just 21 walks. Coming into this series, Duke had the best staff ERA in the entire nation.
And also coming into the weekend, Curd was second best in the country in her strikeout to walk ratio.
One to Brown. Now falls behind 1 and 2. Cassidy Curd just fielded the Alex Brown comebacker to throw her out. That is the second out of the bottom of the first inning. Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you from Clemson, where Duke is trying to sweep the Tigers, as we welcome those of you who just saw Notre Dame get swept by Florida State.
I tell you what, when you look at the way the ACC is shaping up this year, every weekend is bringing so many different stars to the forefront, and teams that you don't expect to win are coming away with some big series wins at times.
Duke is the #1 team in the ACC right now as they sit atop the standings. Cassidy Curd in the circle. First time she has pitched this weekend. Very talented lefty who was a first-team All-ACC performer last year. That's popped up.
Kelly Torres back there behind the plate for Duke has been so important for them. A leader, not only vocally, but to be able to step out and say the hard thing in the circle to the pitchers that need it. Mackenzie Clark is such a tough out. We've seen her bunt for a base hit. We've seen her hit the long ball, and she's just got so many tools there in the box.
Gets on base a lot, draws a lot of walks, and plays a rather dazzling center field as well.
I thought she stole a home run away from Duke in the series, but it actually tipped off her glove and over the wall, and then another huge catch as she ran into the wall. I mean, her defense is spectacular out there in center.
Yeah, it was Vega's grand slam in game one that was almost a spectacular catch. Curd has done a good job getting ahead of the hitters in this inning.
And when you talk about Mackenzie Clark, she's dangerous because she's so fast. So she now is the career stolen base leader at Clemson with 46.
Got that in yesterday's 4-3 loss in game 2 of this series. Duke took game 1 13-9 on Friday. Cassidy Curd is dealing. That's her second strikeout of the inning.
Big day for softball. Other than the wind blowing in, as a hitter, you like to see that one going out.
Handled by Moore. Terrific throw across to get Freelick.
So impressed with the way that Moore is playing shortstop. She's been charging. She had a little bit of a miscue in game 1 where she sat back and the ball ate her up, but now playing that position a little bit more aggressively and being so good out there at short.
Maddie Moore is the junior from Loomis, California, which is near Sacramento. Came in, as you mentioned earlier, as a second baseman and has had to segue over to shortstop. There's Giselle Tapia playing first base for Duke.
We talked so much about all the offense that's been happening for Duke. Giselle Tapia still looking for her first hit in this series.
Very unusual for the veteran. Facing Reagan Spencer, who started and lost game 1. It was a wild one. It was 13-9. Duke won that game. The 9 runs, the most they have given up all season. Spencer lasted 5 1/3 innings in that game and threw 123 pitches. That was on Friday. Her ERA going into that game was .82. Afterwards, it was 1.61. It doubled. 2-2 pitch. Goes straight back.
Well, not only did it double after last game, but she's been doing so well coming off of last year. I mean, last season, it comes down to the ERA is pretty similar, but when you think about how many walks to strikeouts she had last season, last year just 18 strikeouts in the year. This year she's already up to 46.
Head coach John Rittman, when we talked to him before the series started, gave a lot of credit to Spencer, who is a senior, but in her first 3 years did not get a whole lot of chances and has taken advantage of her opportunities here in her senior season and is particularly valuable now with Cagle being out in concussion protocol.
She's already more than doubled her innings pitched from a season ago. ERA is lower, and more than anything, it's that strike to walk ratio that has just absolutely improved head over heels. Last season, 18 strikeouts, 12 walks, sitting now 46 strikeouts, and that her 14th walk.
On a full count pitch, Tapia took it, and now she is a one-out base runner for Sarah Goddard, the right fielder for Duke. Goddard 2 for 6 in this series, but has been struck out 4 times by Clemson pitchers. Marissa Young shielding her eyes over in the third base coach's box. Done a terrific job. Like John Rittman, her counterpart, they started this program, hired a couple or 2-3 years before the programs took the field and built them from the ground up.
And when you talk about the way that these two programs have emerged in the ACC, I don't know that there is a faster rise to the top that we could have expected out of these two.
As it used to be, and John Rittman mentioned this, it was Florida State, and then every once in a while there'd be a one-hit wonder, a one-year wonder, but Duke and Clemson now have really kind of made it a crowded field of good teams. Tough play for Lungaleo, but she's a good third baseman, charged it nicely to retire Goddard. Tapia goes down to second.
Yeah, prior to Clemson and Duke taking their turn in the ACC, it was Florida State and Georgia Tech had a a tournament win way back when. But these two have really pushed everything forward. Virginia Tech emerging as well, so those four sit at the top of the ACC rankings.
Yes, cannot forget what Pete DeMoore has done at Virginia Tech. Jada Baker, the number 8 hitter. A couple of hits in this series, but went 0 for 3 yesterday. Baker just a sophomore.
I like the way that Spencer continues to attack underneath the hands of these hitters. That is one of those pitches that you get as a hitter. There's not much you can do with it. You can foul it off. Hard to keep it fair in a good swing. And so Spencer, good at location under the hands of these hitters right now.
Ahead 0-2. It's a weak grounder that is fielded by Spencer. Just
pitches, 10 of them strikes, and she recorded all the outs herself. 2 strikeouts and a ground ball right back to the middle.
Julia Noller batting cleanup. She is a freshman that has been starting all season long for Coach John Rittman. And in the cleanup spot.
And Noller did have some time out of the starting lineup. She got hurt back on February 25th, came back to the lineup March 28th. But I tell you what, when it comes to a freshman to make an impact quickly, that's Noller. Her first collegiate at bat, solo home run. Later that game, a 2-run shot. I mean, this kid has absolutely lit it up since she got on campus.
Announced her presence with authority, certainly, but she is 0 for 6 so far in this series. And is behind Curd now 1-2.
And it is so hard to catch up to the velocity that Curd is thrown out of the circle. She's touching 70 with some of these pitches. And at the top of the zone, when the ball's coming in, it starts waist high and jumps up to the letters. It's hard to predict the movement of it. She's got a really good curve, also a good rise ball. Does not throw the changeup very often, so these hitters can sit velocity.
Another 1-2 on the way to Noller. Upstairs again, that one at just over 68 miles an hour. That's 3 strikeouts in 4 batters for Curd.
And the adjustment that these hitters for Clemson need to make is if it starts belt high, you probably need to let it go or adjust your swing to swing a couple of balls higher, knowing that she's using that rise ball when she gets ahead for the swing and miss.
Leah Lungaleo, a couple of hits. Actually 4 for 7 in this series, has been terrific with 5 runs driven in, and one of 10 seniors who were celebrated yesterday on Senior Day.
You mentioned those seniors. I think that will be the toughest.
And the bottom 2 names on that list were Valerie Cagle and Millie Thompson, who are their primary starting pitchers.
And the 2 names above it, JoJo Hyatt, Ariel Oda, those are the originals. Those are the OGs of Clemson who came in 6 seasons ago, started this program before there was even a stadium or a roster to be had.
John Rittman has just glowing things to say about his seniors, particularly, as you mentioned, with Oda and Hyatt, and say they will go down in history as pioneers of this program. This is the 5th year for Clemson playing softball, 7th year for Duke. 2-2 now to Lungaleo.
Foul ball straight back. That tells you that Lungaleo has been able to time up Curd. And without that change of speed, she can go ahead and sit velocity and just make sure that she's making contact. It's hard to move up in the box when you face the velocity that Curd is throwing with, knowing that your reaction time is so limited, but sometimes that's a good adjustment to be able to take away the movement of her pitches.
Lungaleo hit a home run in game 1 of this series. Her first home run of this series, 3 for 4. It was a 2-run shot, so she has 5 RBIs so far, but again, Clemson trying to avoid a sweep. 2-2. 7th pitch of the at-bat is fisted towards Gold, who is able to grab it for out number 2.
And Curd not afraid to take the ball in on the hands. A lefty that throws a tight curveball into a right-handed batter. So effective because it gets inside the barrel, gets jammed up on those big hitters. Logaleo falls prey to that curveball inside.
Two out, nobody on for Lindsey Garcia, another senior, playing her first and final season. She is a grad transfer from Auburn. She has 3 hits so far in this series.
With the emergence of the transfer portal, you see players that catch the eye of coaches in the postseason, and that's exactly what happened for Lindsey Garcia. She played Clemson in the regional with Auburn in both 22 and 23. So because of that, caught the eye of John Rittman and gave her an opportunity to come over and play for Clemson.
Curd continuing to get ahead of batters, already with 3 strikeouts.
Here we go. We got
it. Another thing that John Rittman talked about when he talked about transfers was how cool it was that transfers were able to come in and have a voice immediately, how they were able to just seamlessly transition into this program and be respected by those younger players.
It is just foul.
That's the hard part about a lefty curveball pitcher, is that the ball gets inside the barrel so quickly. It starts on the outside part of the plate, continues to drift in, but your contact point for an inside pitch is much further out in front. You can let the ball travel deep when it's an outside pitch, but that's why it's so hard to square up a lefty who's throwing the ball in on your hands as a right-handed hitter.
That last pitch just under 69 miles an hour. Another one flared out into right field, and another foul ball.
And the way you combat a left-handed pitcher throwing a curveball into your hands is to make sure that you can get the barrel out in front. Knowing that Curd does not have a reputable changeup, it allows you to hit velocity a little bit better. But you don't want to swing too early, because then you swing and miss on a curveball that starts away and nips the outside corner.
Pitch number 7 of this at-bat. Not handled by the shortstop, Baker. Clemson has its first base runner.
So as this ball comes in on the hands of Garcia, you saw a great adjustment to be able to get enough barrel on it to push it with a funky hop over there to shortstop. And that is the first hit by Clemson off of Curd.
Already with more hits than they had the last time they saw her in the ACC semifinal. Abby Vieira in the number 7 slot, catching this evening.
So much easier for a lefty hitting a lefty curveball thrower, because you can anticipate that the ball is not going to stay inside on your hands. She does not start the ball in the batter's box. She does not trust that pitch to come back over the plate. So as a lefty hitter, you can look to swing away on the outside. ball for the drop ball pitchers, but also just a great voice that can come out and calm the circle.
Vieira very interesting in the batter's box. She stands there until the last second just with one hand on the bat, and then finally gets the second hand down just as Curd is about to deal.
Well, and that is a new approach for her. Typically she stands with two hands very low in her stance, but this time waits until the last minute to put it on, but Curd takes advantage. A ball up in the zone, way out of the zone.
Available for Clemson. Missing her fourth straight game. Played against North Carolina, trying to make a play in the field and got a concussion. So she has not been cleared to play yet.
And not only is she in concussion protocol, I'm actually surprised that Kyle Jamison for Clemson is not in concussion protocol as well. Got hit in the head on a foul and on a gold foul ball in game 1.
And on Friday night, here's Deanna Jennings, who was a leadoff hitter last year and now in the number 9 slot, facing Reagan Spencer. Spencer fields it and throws her out. And we were able to talk to Kyle Jamison before the game, and it's remarkable. I mean, he didn't even get stitches.
No, they glued it. They've got a nice little Band-Aid on his forehead, but he got absolutely jacked on that foul ball. There was no time to react. They said it was a 66-mile-an-hour pitch. They were unable to get the velocity off the bat because it was a foul ball, but that ball was on top of him so quickly, knocked him off of his seat, ran back into the tunnel and straight to the training room to be evaluated by the team doctor that luckily was here for the game.
Thank goodness he was not hurt. It could have been much more serious as Kelly Torres sends one foul. Jamison from Ottawa, Ontario, and Courtney Brault, who is an assistant. It came at him so quickly, it ricocheted off his head, hit her hand, and bruised it badly.
They don't know if it's broken, and she says, I'm not going to get it tested, but the bruise is extensive. And she said if it hadn't hit his head, it would have broken her ribs.
Well, thank goodness Coach Jamison, KJ as he is known, is doing all right. Torres on the ground, more charges. He gets her. A little bit of a snow cone.
To win, perhaps, ACC Player of the Year.
We have a challenge now. So the umpires are going to go back and take a look.
It's a close play at first base, but you're looking for, does the ball get into the web of the glove before the foot touches the bag? And while this is a look from behind, you can actually see the ball coming into the web of the glove before the foot touches the bag. And I think that's a great look by our crew. It is secured and the foot has not touched the bag. Great look by our crew to be able to pull that look up, and that's what these umpires are looking at.
And it should be upheld. The call was out on the field, and Jennings is still out. Coaches get 2 challenges per game. Sorry, that was Torres who was thrown out. Jennings was thrown out earlier. And here's the aforementioned Claire Davidson, who has 7 RBIs this weekend to go over the 100 career RBI mark. She's slugging .991 this year.
That's pretty good.
That's good, yeah?
I mean,
Take that.
But we talked to Coach Marissa Young about the kind of season she's having at the plate, and she said, you know, her goal every single time is just to hit a single. She doesn't try to do too much. Coach Young says she doesn't want a ton of information, keeps it very simple, wants to stay athletic in the box, and it's working.
Davidson, a senior from Lakewood Ranch, Florida. Twice has been an academic All-American. Hit a 3-run home run off Spencer in game 1, but is behind here 1 and 2. Alex Brown drifts to her right, and it's the first one. We We are back at Clemson. Pleased to be joined by Marissa Young, the head coach for Duke, who was a great pitcher herself when she was at Michigan. What are you seeing from Cassidy Curd? First time we've seen her this weekend.
She's doing a really great job of pounding the zone and working at different levels to get Clemson to chase.
And you've got a pass the bat mentality with this offense right now. So much power in the lineup. Just what's been the mentality in this series?
Being ready for the pitch that we're hunting, and if you don't get the job done, know it will be the next person behind you that'll take care of business.
And they have taken care of business so far. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Marissa Young, who calls the pitches too as well, and Cassidy Curd, the spunky sophomore, in the circle today. And so far, so good. She's gotten 4 strikeouts, did give up a single in the second inning, but we're still looking for our first run of this game. And for the second straight game, Duke and Clemson went through the first 2 innings scoreless. It was the 3rd inning in the last couple of games when stuff started to break loose. Let's see if Clemson can keep that pattern going here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's Kylie Johnson, the right fielder, leads things off in the bullpen trying to get things started. It's Valerie Cagle back there in the purple shirt.
Not available today, still in concussion protocol, so you will not see her hitting or pitching. Hoping to see her next weekend.
At Notre Dame, we'll have 2 of those 3 games for you. So bummed we weren't able to see her.
Yeah, reigning player of the year.
National player of the year.
To be
Her
able
numbers last year were ridiculous.
game, I mean, just the way that she stepped into the box and hit with ease and pitched with so many strikeouts, it was an easy call to name her National Player of the Year, and it was actually upsetting that Clemson had to go against Oklahoma in super regionals based on the way that the rankings and seedings came out. Clemson was the 16th seed, Oklahoma the 1, so as both of them came out of regionals, they had to match up before Oklahoma City.
Curd fell behind 3-0 to Johnson. Last year, Valerie Cagle hit .469 with 19 home runs, 57 runs driven in, and oh, by the way, also won 25 games in the circle.
Is that good?
That's National Player of the Year good.
You know, and I was able to win National Player of the Year as well. It's been decades, but I didn't have to come back and play the next season. And that, to me, is where this is a tough year for Valerie Cagle, because everybody circles her on their lineup, and she's the one that everybody attacks when they come in.
Full count now to Johnson. Nice recovery for Curd, who fell behind 3-0 and gets her 5th strikeout. You also didn't have to pitch, but anyway.
No, I didn't have to pitch, luckily. I just had to hit him.
And
but
you did.
It's that curveball that is so hard for a right-handed hitter to hit, because it comes in on your hands rather than staying away into that very hittable zone. Curd taking advantage of that curveball into the righties.
Ariel Oda, one of the OG, as Jenny Dalton-Hill calls him, one of the 2 originals that signed on, along with JoJo Hyatt, a couple of years before this program got going. He said it was just, Coach Rittman said it was just, we had dirt and a dream, and they signed on.
Yeah, no stadium, no team took a chance on a coach and a plan. He said they were pioneers that have set the standard and have been part of a melting pot of players that have come in.
She's behind 0-1. Fisted towards Vega, who is one of Jenny Dalton-Hill's favorite players right about now.
I have high standards for second baseman. That's the position I played in college. And when you play second, you've got to have a lot of touch on your throws. You've got to be able to cover a ton of ground. But you also have to read the hands of hitters, because sometimes you got to get over and cover first base. Vega has been able to impress me this season, the way that she's played defense and also swing the stick.
And she really has been swinging very well. 4 for 4 hits in this series and 5 runs driven in as we go to the top of the order. And Maddie Moore, who was Curd's first strikeout victim, so one time through the order. 1 hit for Clemson and 5 strikeouts for Curd.
John Rittman praises Maddie Moore for the kind of mature at-bats she's been able to have this season. She makes great in-game adjustments with it, which is something that comes with experience. And to be able to be make those changes in game. So important, knowing that she's the leadoff hitter for Clemson.
That one bounced in.
And I don't know if you can hear it, but she is verbally telling herself not to swing at those pitches that are not strikes. That's how I used to be in a box too. Being able to say it out loud took away some of the energy from my swing and allowed me to keep the barrel back. So she is verbalizing when she is not going to come through.
So you talk to yourself.
100% I did. And I also hoped it was going to influence the umpire at times, because there were some I said no at, and I'm like, please say ball. Didn't always work. It worked more at home than it did on the road.
2-2 to Moore.
And she said ball. I don't know if you could hear that, but she said no the first two. That one she said ball. And I used to be able to just stay zoned in, and by saying it, it helped me stay back. But in a full count, you've got to protect the plate now.
Second full count of this inning for Curd. He was able to strike out Johnson after falling behind 3-0. That is a solid base hit right up the middle. So whatever Maddie Moore was telling herself, it worked out in that and back.
And sometimes it comes down to just being able to stay so focused. And in there, it looked like she was saying yes, yes. That's the mentality you want in the box. A yes, yes, no kind of swing, so that you are on time with your stride, that the barrel's ready to launch. And there, timed it up perfectly. Come back her right back up the middle. Moore makes a great adjustment between her first and second at bat.
Fourth hit of the weekend for Moore. Now here's Alex Brown up for the second time. Out on a comebacker in her first at bat. Second hit of the game for Clemson. Duke so far just one off of Reagan Spencer. Throw down by Torres.
But what you're looking at out there in right is Sarah Goddard backing that up. That is the most important piece of that play. While Kelly Torres loves to be able to throw behind and get a pick over there at first to Giselle Tapia at first base, you have to have your right fielder backing that up in case it gets by.
Sly little smile there from Torres after the throw. Tapia with a chance, backhands it and retires. Back at Clemson, where we are joined by John Rittman, the head coach, and scoreless so far, different from the first two games in this series. Reagan Spencer getting the start again today, doing well so far. What are you seeing from her?
Well, she's mixing her speed, she's hitting her spots, keeping up off balance, and she's just pitching a really good game. I think the biggest thing is, you know, you got to get ahead of these guys, and we got to play some defense behind her tonight.
When we saw you recognize your seniors yesterday after game two, but two in particular have really set the tone in Oda and Hyatt. What have they meant to this program?
Oh, they've meant everything. You know, they're the pioneers. They were here before this stadium was built. You know, we sold them on a vision. They got here to help us recruit and build the foundation and kind of set the culture of the program. And man, I tell you, they're two special players and just two special, you know, kids to have in our program to help us build this thing from the ground up.
And you've all done a great job. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Jenny.
3 straight NCAA appearances, including that Super Regional. They were 16th seed, and last year Oklahoma was like really, really good. Went there and lost. But you have to give credit. There's JoJo Hyatt. And JoJo Hyatt, as we begin here with Amina Vega, scoreless at the top of the 4th. Right back to Spencer for a quick first out. And you give credit to Hyatt and Oda. Hyatt played a lot more earlier in her career, but as the seasons have rolled on, has become more and more of a role player and a backup catcher to Vieira, and she stayed the course.
Well, and when you think about how long ago they came into this program, they were the pioneers. And what you want to do is always recruit better to make those players ahead of you work, right? And JoJo Hyatt has worked her butt off. So has Ariel Oda. But when you bring in players that can surpass, it tells you the trajectory of this program. And Clemson is not wanting to just end at Super Regionals. They're looking to end their year in Oklahoma City.
Anna Gold jumps all over that pitch. She popped up to Spencer her first time up. Duke also had a big year last year hosting the Super Regional for the first time, but they fell to Stanford in 2 games. And they have used that as an incentive even for this series.
And before this series, Marissa Young told us that at the beginning of the year, they wrote down 11 different things that they needed to improve upon to be able to make it to Oklahoma City. They revisited that yesterday, actually, and 5 of them they felt were very pertinent to this series that they needed to focus on. She did not share with us what those 11 ideas were or what the 5 specifics were for this series, but she said it was a great conversation that they feel will push them forward through the end of the ACC regular season.
Full count now to Gold, and Duke certainly off to a tremendous start this season in first place in the always tough ACC. Their only losses to Oklahoma, Florida State, and then an extra inning game at Louisville. And then right before Gold strikes out, right before this series, they lost a midweek game to Campbell.
And it was a hiccup that Coach Marissa Young says when they took the field on Tuesday. They had 2 midweeks, actually a Tuesday and a Wednesday game. Tuesday, she said, they had some miscues that they were able to out-hit. Wednesday, though, unable to do so, came away with the 4th loss of the season.
Yes, they won at East Carolina, then fell to Campbell. Congratulations to the Campbells. There were some unearned runs that Campbell scored, but it's their best win ever, the highest ranked team they have ever beaten in history, and it kind of gave them a little bit of a nice push going into a tough series right against Clemson.
You would much rather have that hiccup happen in the middle of your ACC regular season than at the end of the year when it sends you home.
Francesca Freelich, known as Frankie to her teammates, up for the 2nd time. She grounded out to Maddie Moore her first time up. Freelich sacrifice bunt with Gold on first base yesterday in game 2. Chaos ensued, and Gold ended up scoring all the way from first, the winning run of the game. Freelich leads her team in sacrifice hits.
But the reason you see this ball staying on the outside part of the plate to Freelich is because her batting average on the outside, .091. Her batting average on the inside part of the plate, .429. So to be able to capitalize that outside, that's where you'll see a lot of these pitches coming in at.
Two. He's in the dirt. He'll fill the count up.
And some people wonder, why does Freelich hold the barrel or the bat out in front? What it does is it prevents too big of a stride. When you're facing velocity in the circle, it allows a shorter load back behind and makes you go right towards contact.
And DeLeo throws across this inning. Now they will play one more home game. This is their last home series. They have a midweek schedule coming up on Tuesday against Winthrop, which is in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And then they hit the road to play Notre Dame and Louisville to close out the regular season. Down the first base line, Tapia was able to recover in plenty of time.
When you and I were talking about senior day, Pam, and why would they do it after the game instead of recognizing all of them before the game? But there is so much emotion that comes from thinking about the last time taking the field that a lot of coaches around the country have moved their senior day activities throughout the season or after games, knowing that that emotion can impact the way that a game begins.
Noller swing and a miss. And I've seen that happen as well in college basketball, and I've seen teams that should have won games lose games because they can't get composed enough, or in time rather. And they did it yesterday after the game with this one game today and also on Tuesday, and then that'll be it for these seniors.
When I think about my senior day, we did it before the last game that we took the field at Arizona, and I was a puddle. I struggled to get myself back together for the start of that game, and it took me a couple of innings to rally and get back into game day mode.
Nola with a swing and a miss. Down 1-2. Another full count.
And in talking to Marissa Young about Cassidy Curd, she said what makes her so good is she's effectively wild. So typically you're looking for a pitcher who is able to stay really tight on the zone and make sure that their pitches are, you know, borderline, always on the corner. She said sometimes she's really good because you just don't know where it's going.
That one got enough of the plate to set Nola down. Second time she has struck out today.
With the way that Nola is standing in the box, she's second guessing where these pitches are going. That ball, a curveball outside corner, not a lot of upspin on it, but can't get the barrel off of her shoulder. She goes down with the strikeout for the second time in this game.
Another senior, Lungaleo up. And you might have noticed in the video she was wearing a lei, her heritage Polynesian, very proud of that. Took a trip to American Samoa during the last off season and gave out leis to the coaching staff as well during the ceremony.
And it was because of that trip to America Samoa that she said her heritage became so much more prominent and became so much more important to her. She said her dad actually had always been promoting that for her, but being able to be there, do some clinics with young kids in the area, promoted the need that she felt to change the pronunciation of her name and go back to a little bit more authentic Samoan culture. So instead of Logaleo, like she has always called it, this now she wants us to call her Longaleo to give a nod to the people where she comes from.
Kind of anglicized it with the Logaleo. Fans still chant that when she comes up, but she's been tremendous. Down 1-2, however, that's upstairs. Some great players in softball with Polynesian and Samoan, you know, ancestry. Certainly, Jocelyn Alo comes to mind. All the Ricketts sisters, and now Lungaleo here for Clemson. Hit on the nose, went under the glove of gold. Two-out base runner, Lungaleo.
And when you're facing the kind of velocity that Clemson is facing out of the circle with Curd out there, she's throwing high 60s, touching 70. You just got to connect. You don't have to have a crazy backswing with negative move and throw the barrel with a ton of velocity. You just got to connect, and there squares it up and pulls the glove back of Anna Gold for a hit.
Now Marissa Young comes out to talk to Cassidy Curd, who has thrown 6.
Go in another inning or two, but perhaps with the arms warming in the dugout, we may see Lily Walker here again.
Lily Walker always seems to be ready to pitch.
Well, and she's been used in relief so often this year, but she was the starter in game one. It surprised both of us knowing that she had not had a start all season. It was just the 4th start of her career. They took her out at the end of the game for 1 out, had to bring her back in to get the win in game one.
They held on to win 13-9. As Garcia can't catch up to that 68-mile-an-hour pitch. And then Walker got the save yesterday. 4-3 win for the Devils. Lungaleo looking over from first. Vega That's a very routine play for her. So, pardon me, Giselle Tapia starting things off. Here in the top of the fifth inning, Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you on a beautiful night. It was 81 degrees at game time, cooled off now. The wind is blowing in from right center field. We've had a spectacular weekend. It's still nice. It's still 78 degrees, so Jenny can take her gloves off now.
No, I haven't put them on yet. Today is beautiful. Okay. I did wear my jacket all day, Friday and Saturday, yes. Because, you know, we dipped below 70.
Oh, horrible. Tapia walked in her first at bat. No runs on just one hit for Duke. No runs on 3 hits for Clemson. Reagan Spencer doing a terrific job. Nice bounce back start after taking the loss on Friday night in game 1 of this series. Tapia on base to start things off, drawing the base on balls on just 4 pitches.
Pam, I don't know that we need to discuss what happens when you put on a free pass to lead off an inning. That's usually the recipe for a difficult time in the circle.
Leah Terrell runs for Tapia over at first base. Second time we've seen her in this series. Pinch run. Get speed on the base paths because run's obviously hard to come by so far. Bunt goes down from Goddard, does her job.
And good job communicating. We saw that as a problem earlier in this one as a pitcher went for the bunt, and then there was some miscues defensively, but there, third baseman Longaleo able to call off Spencer to get away from that so she could field and move through the throw, and then the catcher Abby Vieira hustling down the line to cover third so that Duke couldn't take advantage of an open base.
Gina Baker trying to do some damage, sends that one, but got too far underneath it. Mackenzie Clark with her first action. Balls have not been getting to the outfield in this game.
I think Campbell, but it was a late inning addition to put her in and try to get more runs, and she was the only runs able to put up on the board in that midweek.
Spencer starts her off with a strike. Pinch runner Terrell over at second. Two-one is hit into left field. Terrell, a little bit of a hesitation and now has to hustle back to third base. That's on the corners and 2 away. Duke is just 1 for 5 today with 2 outs. For his third straight game leading off.
And when you think about what Reagan Spencer is throwing in the circle, she loves to stay drop, curve, and change heavy. She also has that off-speed drop. Kelly Torres has a batting average of .077 on the rise ball. Well, Reagan Spencer doesn't throw it, so she's going to be okay because she's got a .636 average on the changeup.
That is off the glove of Longaleo at third, and Duke scores its first run.
How important is that pinch hit now by Burgess to be able to come off the bench cold, get the hit, move the runners, and give Kelly Torres the unexpected leadoff hitter in this series to come up with RBI potential. Love the way that Marissa Young has tinkered with her lineup to be so impactful at the top. An easy advancement on a hard hit ball by Torres.
Terrell scores. And another hit up the middle by Davidson. Plates another run, and then the call is safe over at third.
Well, why is it important that they re-enter Jennings for Burgess when she gets on first base? It's because of that right there. So much speed on the bases by Jennings. She absolutely lights up the base pass. And even though Clark almost airmails this one, Logaleo over there at third thinks she got her out. Marissa Young says safe, and she's right.
And the call is upheld. So the RBI single by Davidson. Torres advances over to third and gets another giggle about that. Not known for being a speed burner, but we saw her get her first career triple last year when she was all fired up, and now she was able to beat out that throw.
She says, what do you mean I'm not fast? I'm the leadoff hitter for Duke.
So 2 runs in, both with 2 outs here for Duke. And here is Amina Vega, who is so dangerous. First career grand slam. I just want to correct myself. She did not hit that off of Spencer, but off of the reliever McCubbin in game 1.
And this Duke squad has 7 grand slams hit by 6 different players. I mean, this is a team that has been hitting the cover off the ball. They started their season with a loss to Oklahoma, then went on a 21-game win streak.
And that grand slam on Friday night was an almost spectacular catch by Mackenzie Clark, who jumped up over the fence, had it in her glove momentarily before it skipped over right around the 220 sign in center.
Yeah, the defense of Mackenzie Clark out there in center has saved so many runs, but that one tipped off her glove, went out of the yard, and she sat there on the warning track for quite a while to think about that one. She was devastated.
2-2, out of play. Shadows now extending over the infield. The sun shining into the eyes of those on the left side of the field. And the fans over there on the left field berm. Vega lifts that towards Clark. She's got the sunglasses on and squeezes it for the third out, but Duke.
Queen grabbed a quick pic of her before the game.
She got the birthday queen sash. Her family is here. Jayla, a senior from Charlotte, played her freshman year at Michigan State before transferring much closer to home. And she got the win yesterday, facing Abby Vieira to start things off. It was a little bit, it was, as the English would say, it was kind of a nervy win because she had 4 wild pitches, 3 of them in 1 inning.
It was uncharacteristic. She had just 8 wild pitches on the season and then threw half that many in 1 game. It was definitely not the way that we expect to see her in the circle. And especially Kelly Torres back behind the dish. They were kicking so far away, and she's usually a big wall back there behind the plate.
White also surrendered 5 walks through 105 pitches, but won her 13th game of the season. And had some issues with the clock.
She has a very prolonged pre-pitch routine, and so that clock out there should be sitting at 20. They actually took too long to put the 20 up there, so we apologize for exposing that.
Jayla able to toss out Vieira for the first out of the...
During the draft as an offensive lineman, he did not play in the ACC, but a lot of ACC players up for an opportunity.
Jayla Wright fields her position nicely again. Johnson with the liner right back.
I mean, her energy in the circle is infectious. That smile, just lights up the room, and nice little out, a comebacker right back at her off the end of the bat. So it's not a screamer. Because of that, she gets time to get the glove up.
2 quick outs. Now Ariel Oda, the number 9 hitter. Ariel grounded out her first time up. And Jayla also, every time it seems we see her, and we've seen her a lot calling ACC network games, she adds something different to her pre-pitch routine, and this year it's the left hand going straight out. Jenny's favorite second baseman makes the play. And starting things off with Anna Gold. They scored both runs in the 5th inning, and we have had a scoring change. Kelly Torres reaching base, originally called an error on the third baseman Longaleo. That has been changed to an RBI single, and we agree with that.
I definitely do. With that hard hit ball, it took Longaleo off of her feet. It was a dive play. It deflected off of her glove. I agree with that change.
So both runs are earned now for Duke. Reagan Spencer in the circle. 2 runs on 4 hits, no errors for Duke. Clemson, no runs on 3 hits, and now 0 errors. Gold takes the strike. Stung but foul down the third base line. Anna Gold at the plate has Duke's career record for most home runs with 36, 1 more than Christina Foreman, who had such a terrific career. She was one of Coach Young's originals. Popped up, foul territory, playable for Nolan.
Been a tough day for Gold. That's 2 outs in the air, but after striking out down and in, you know that she was looking away. Lets the barrel fall under it. It's an easy foul play for the first baseman, Noller.
Freelich has grounded out twice today.
There's the changeup. We have not seen it a bunch in this game for Spencer, and that, I think, is a huge pitch in every pitcher's arsenal. But now bringing it out here in the 6th inning.
That one hit Freelich.
To be able to stand there and wear a velocity pitch is something I never figured out how to do, and I am so impressed by those players who are able to just stand there and wear it like a champ.
That is the 6th hit batter for Spencer this season. And
Pitching play, throwing a lefty in Millie Thompson. She'll fill the bottom of the zone with a drop and a curve. She's just a seasoned presence there in the circle. You've got to be aware of her changeup, though. That fools most hitters. It's devastating because both of those 2 pitches, the drop and the changeup, tunnel so well off of each other. A 298 average on the drop and a 173 average on the changeup.
Facing Giselle Tapia. Sends it into center field. Clark, who moves so well in the outfield, is able to hunt it down for the 2nd out.
Not only is she quick, she has such a good first step, which gives her the correct angle and depth to be able to reach that catch. I mean, in the outfield, playing center field, it is hard to read the ball off the bat, but Mackenzie Clark is so good at her first step that she makes really difficult catches look easy.
She went a long way to get that ball. Freelich back at first base now for Sarah Goddard, swinging away. Millie Thompson started game 2 yesterday, took the complete game loss. All 7 innings, gave up 4 runs, just 3 of them earned on 7 hits. And was among the 10 seniors honored after the game.
And the thing about Millie Thompson is she makes you work your way on. She does not give up a ton of free passes. She had no walks in that complete game yesterday and just 7 on the season. So as a hitter to get on, you've got to earn it.
Head 0-2, then pulls the string to get the gorgeous strikeout. much more to it than just what we see, certainly. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you, where Maddie Moore starts things off. Top of the order for the Tigers, trying to solve this Duke pitching staff. This is the 2nd inning for Jayla Wright, who came in to relieve starter Cassidy Curd, who left after throwing 71 pitches. That one right up the middle, leadoff single for Moore.
And after Maddie Moore's first at bat here tonight, she has done such a good job of making changes in the box to be able to be more consistent and productive at the top of the lineup. So as the leadoff hitter here, this is her first time seeing Jayla Wright tonight. Capitalizes on a ball left big at the bottom of the zone.
Alex Brown steps in. A couple of ground outs against starter Curd tonight. Beautiful play by Tapia, who is able to retire Brown on an absolute scorcher down the first baseline.
Well, and the way that ball came off the bat, I thought it had a chance to get past Tapia over there at first. And if that ball gets down into the corner, that is a for sure run for Clemson. But look at the way that she takes an angle to be able to glove that one up. An easy out at first base, but that had the potential to put Clemson on the board.
Had that gotten down the line, that would have been big-time trouble. Moore over at second base now. And here is Mackenzie Clark.
And we talk about angles a lot in the outfield, but angles on the infield are just as important, because if Tapia goes straight across to the line, that ball might get past her. But because of the way that she took the drop step and the stride toward the line, she's able to glove it up, and that's a huge play to keep that ball out of the corner.
Absolutely gorgeous. John Rittman makes a play over there in the third base coach's box.
I say that's an error. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean, he bodied it up and didn't make a play.
Tough.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to watch Longaleo a little bit more at third base.
Wright calls time, and look for the fans now to start getting on her, because we saw this a lot yesterday.
Yeah, the action clock will start to wind down. The crowd will start to call it out, so that home plate umpire will give the action clock violation.
That is popped over the head of Jada Baker, running all the way, and safe at home. Maddie Moore scores. And this will undoubtedly be challenged.
The throw from Davidson out in left field, that right there was an amazing strike thrown to the plate, and the ball beats the runner home. But maybe it was a tricky slide that allowed the hand to get to the plate. I mean, Clark is jammed up. That is not a screamer to the outfield, and Davidson charges hard. A beautiful one hop to Torres, who leaves the plate open. I don't see obstruction being called in that situation, but Torres's knee does come down in front of the plate. So I don't know if obstruction is going to impact this play, but with Torres covering completely the plate with her body, it was impossible for the hand of the Clemson player to be able to get in to the plate. No obstruction being called. But does the hand slide in under Torres' reach? We'll find out.
The safe call is up. Struck out twice against Curd. And another timeout taken. As Wright stepped away. Another first pitch swing. This is out of play.
Clemson very aggressive early in these counts. They are not letting Wright throw a ton of pitches, and Wright continues to push the action clock to its limit on most of these pitches.
Noller is 0 for 8 so far in this series. What a big hit this would be if she can come back from this 0-2 count. Cleanup hitter. Lungaleo is on deck. Protected the plate well with 2 strikes.
Jayla Wright was the pitcher in game 2. She had 5 innings pitched. She gave up 5 walks, and you mentioned those 4 wild pitches. So she needs to make sure that she is tight on the zone, because right now Clemson looking to save face in game 3 and not be swept.
Noller bounces it. That advances the runner. Tapia steps on the bag, route number 2. And it's up to Lungaleo. Perhaps the batter. If you were Clemson, you would want up in this situation.
Yeah, coming into today, the first 2 games of the series, she was 4 for 7, half of those being for extra bases, a double and a home run in game 1.
Singled in her last at bat against Curd, sends that one down the right field line, and it is foul.
But knowing the kind of hiccups that Jayla Wright had in the circle in game 2, at third base with Mackenzie Clark, she is an aggressive base runner. So if this ball gets anywhere away from Jackie.
A puffy one. Lungaleo quickly behind 0-2 now.
Well, and talking about weather, I mean, Clemson last weekend at Syracuse, Coach Rittman said it was freezing up there. So when you play in the ACC, you've got to be ready for weather every single weekend.
Syracuse should play in the dome, don't you think?
I do.
Warms up there in like June. 0-2 with 2 away. Just taps it back to Jayla Wright, who saves the inning, retiring the all.
Gave Clemson a run to cut the lead in half.
Leading things off, Jada Baker just able to beat out the first pitch she saw from Millie Thompson. And that has been ruled a hit.
And just a nubber, knowing that Millie Thompson throws that drop ball hard and heavy. Little change up, got her out in front, but it was just a nubber that went back up the middle. It looked as though it may have impacted Millie Thompson. Stayed in the game. It was against Mizzou. Hit her in the chest. She stayed in the game. And she is fiery in that circle. Ton of emotion out there.
It was a 49-mile-an-hour changeup that she started off. Deanna Jennings, who had a tremendous freshman year, playing short at third, and that takes Noller off the bag. That will be, I anticipate, an error on Lungaleo.
Well, the reason that happens is because you know how much speed is going down the line, and so as Lungaleo gets this ball, she knows she has to hurry up and throw. And without the first baseman looking, you can sometimes hold up and not throw as hard, knowing that the eyes are not going to be turned around to be able to catch it. She did, releases a little bit high, too fast down the line, and Duke taking advantage.
And that is indeed an error on the third baseman. And then it gets away from the catcher, Vieira, and both runners move up 60 feet.
And rally together. That's a moment right there that could be a pivotal moment as they head down the stretch to finish out the ACC season and go into the postseason.
Torres squares to bunt, puts one down, and no call at the plate. I assume she is safe. And now a couple of runners as Torres is bouncing around trying to get Clark to throw the ball.
So the way you handle this play is you actually need to walk that runner back to first base and stand there and call time. This is a play that has been done in travel ball for multiple seasons. We've seen Duke take advantage of this. They exploited Virginia Tech twice, scored runs on it 2 times. But in that situation with Mackenzie Clark, the center fielder coming in and making that play, it's not normal for her to be on the infield. But the way that you combat that play is just take the ball in your glove, walk the runner all the way back to first base, ask for time while nobody's moving, and usually it's granted, and it leaves runners on the corners.
Torres now down at second base, and Claire Davidson is coming through again. That gets all the way to the wall. 2 more RBIs for Davidson.
Just another feather in the cap for Davidson to give the opportunity to put her name in the mix for ACC Player of the Year by taking off pitching to her list of duties this season. She's been able to focus so much more on offense, and because of that, she's put more time in the batting cage. And in a situation with runners in scoring position, she takes advantage and pushes 2 more runs across for Duke.
Single. Jennings reached on an error. We've had a wild pitch, a sacrifice bunt, and then the 2-run double by Davidson. First pitch swung at by Amina Vega, looking for her first hit tonight. Vega had 4 hits in the first 2 games, including a grand slam. Off McCubbin, sends this one to center field. Playable for Clark, who gets it right in front of the Tiger Paw on the Clemson sign, but Davidson tags and advances to third.
I thought that one off the bat had enough juice to get out of here. Pie says, no way. That's just whipped cream on my pumpkin pie, which is, by matter of fact, her 4th favorite pie.
She's ranked her pie favorites. Strawberry #1?
Strawberry #1.
Anna Gold gets another RBI. Jumping on the first pitch she saw to bring in Davidson.
And the big inning is where Clemson right now is really struggling. They've allowed crooked numbers to come up after simple miscues. Pitchers leaving the ball a little too big, and Duke has capitalized by barreling up pitches left too far over the wide of the plate.
Francesca Freelick comes up for the 4th time tonight. This game was scoreless heading into the 5th inning. Duke has scored 4 runs now here in the 7th after Clemson had trimmed it to a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 6th. Duke trying to win its 3rd game of the series, sweep it. They've already clinched the series. They've won 10 straight ACC series going back to last season.
You mentioned how they have not dropped a conference series since last season. It was against Florida State on March 24th through 26th of 2023 that this Duke team has lost an ACC series.
Freelick on a 1-2 pitch sends it into left field. Gold now down to second.
And that's another off-speed pitch. You know that she's going to change speeds, but gets enough barrel on it to punch it to the outfield. But look at that. Syracuse actually started this season. So going back to Virginia Tech, that was the series after the loss to Florida State last season. They have won 10 consecutive ACC matchups,
including a sweep of Virginia Tech this year. And they also won a series from Florida State.
First time they've ever done that in program history.
0-1 to Tapia. Anna Gold at second.
And Pam, when you look at the way that the ACC schedule set up for Duke, it was actually in a really good spot because they did have to play the toughest teams in the conference, but they were spread out.
Caught over there in foul territory by Lungaleo. For the second out.
Just good field awareness to be able to know where that fence would be. So she reached out with her throwing hand to find it, actually visibly looked for it, able to get that catch, keep Duke in second base.
Sarah Goddard hitless so far in this game.
And an error on each of the coaches in the third base coach's box.
So it's even.
It's right.
Goddard to Moore, flips over to second to get the final out of the inning, but 9 came to the plate for
Last half and the championship to be able to call the next ACC tournament winner.
Looking forward to that. Florida State beat Duke 2-1 in the final last year. But Florida State's not in first place. They're in second place, right? They did just complete a sweep over Notre Dame.
They did. Yeah, but Duke, with a commanding lead at the top, I'm impressed with the way that they continue to just swing the bat, be strong in the circle.
Last chance here for Clemson, down 6-1 after Duke scored 4 runs in the top of the 7th. Here's Lindsey Garcia. Clemson with the midweek against Winthrop, then they finish at Notre Dame and at Louisville in ACC series. Birthday girl Jayla Wright trying to nail down the victory. Came in to relieve Cassidy Curd.
Took a little something off that one to get the nice swing and miss. And that's a pitch that I wish more pitchers took seriously at younger ages, to be able to be more dynamic when they take the circle when they get to college. That should not be a pitch that is learned in college. That should be something that they are tinkering with from the very beginning.
Terrific pitch out of the zone that was chased and missed by Garcia. First strikeout for Wright, who is pitching her 3rd inning of the evening.
A little birthday K outside drop. I mean, look at the spin on that 12-6 spin. That's what you're looking for. Her spin rate is not crazy off the charts, but she has been so good this season with getting the swing and miss down at the bottom of the zone.
Abby Vieira lined right back to right. Last time she was up.
And Pam, you were talking about the way that Vieira stood in the box against Curd. She is now back to 2 hands on the bat as she faces right, which is the way that she hits the rest of the season. That was the first time I'd ever seen her with hand off the bat to get started. Well, and then she goes back to it.
She's messing with you. Good swing on that, but it's foul.
It's just a matter of being able to stay loose. She has a very unique stance in the box. You don't see a lot of hitters standing straight up with feet close together. Usually you like to have your hitters down in their legs with hands up and ready to get to launch position, but a very unique stance for Vieira.
Takes that one just up and out of the zone. Bears repeating that we have not seen Valerie Cagle this weekend. She has a concussion and has been out, her 4th straight game that she has missed. We certainly hope that she will be available next weekend at Notre Dame.
More than
they
anything,
need her.
We just hope she's okay, right?
Yeah,
you don't want to see anything prolonged keeping her not just away from the game, but maybe out of other activities as well.
But she has been in the dugout
the whole time.
All 3 games, participated in the Senior Day ceremony yesterday. Seems to favor wearing purple. I like that.
Oh, she wore white yesterday. But today, she's in your favorite color, pink.
Purple. They look purple to me. 2 strikeouts for Wright. Vieira goes down swinging, and now it's up to Kylie Johnson. In fact, it's not up to Kylie Johnson. They're sending up a pinch hitter.
Well, Jayla Wright had been tied with Cassidy Curd in strikeouts coming into this game today, but with Curd's 6 strikeouts, Wright now sits 4 strikeouts behind on the season number.
Grace Hiller comes up to hit for Johnson, who was 0 for 2. First time we've seen Hiller this weekend. Goes right after the first pitch.
I didn't get a lot of opportunities coming off the bench. I was typically a starter, but when I did come off the bench my freshman season, I loved swinging at the first pitch, coming into a pinch hitting situation, knowing that a pitcher was going to try to take advantage of velocity past me that was usually going to sit pretty big. So I like that swing in the first pitch.
Down 0-2. Jayla Wright picked up the win yesterday, and today on her 22nd birthday looks to close it out. And does. 3 pitches, and Jayla Wright has struck out the side to end the game and do